Good Thursday morning and welcome to KSAT News Now, our bite-sized newscast that will get you the news you need to know while you're on the go. There's a lot going on this morning.
Yeah, that's right, Alicia. A deadly attack in Norway with a bow and arrow, a debate over whether Catholic troops should have to get the coronavirus vaccine, and what is going on with this red flag trend that's popping up all over social media. But of course, the big story of the day, the high water rescues right here at home.
Yeah, and that's where we start. BCSO Sheriff Javier Salazar just provided some updates on what started as a rescue effort in far East Bexar County near St. Hedwig off North Greytown Road and FM 1518. Here's what we know so far.
Yeah, this has been a developing situation. There are 2 people unaccounted for after 3 vehicles reportedly were swept away, according to Sheriff Salazar. 1 vehicle is fully submerged right now. That's the vehicle authorities say that a 5-year-old girl and a woman were in, but the water level is still too high for authorities to reach the 2.
They'll be handling this as a crime scene, as they would a crime scene. Obviously, we don't believe anybody's going to be facing criminal charges, but because we believe we may be dealing with the recovery effort at this point.
He called this a heartbreaking story out of the far East Bexar County, and what we're talking about, how the woman is reportedly said to have been calling 911 as this was all playing out. And it's just so sad to see this.
Yeah, again, this is just new information that is coming into the KSAT 12 newsroom. Reporter Katrina Weber is there, and she'll have more details on this developing story today at noon. And of course, we all know that flooding was one of the big risks that our KSAT Weather Authority team was talking about. Sheriff Salazar said earlier, you know what, it's just, if you need to take more time to get to where you need to go, then go ahead and do that. It's not worth doing this. And Katie Blake now joins us with a very busy night tracking storms. Katie, how are things going?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's quiet this morning, but what is really deceiving sometimes with these flood events is that even when it stops raining, the high water that's left after the rain has to have time to run off and get to where it needs to go. And look how much rain radar estimates fell, especially north and east of San Antonio. In this purple color, that's more than 6 inches of rain, and a lot of this fell in the span of just a few hours. We saw some of these 6-inch rainfall totals up in portions of Comal County, Guadalupe County, down into Wilson, Gonzales counties as well. And this jives with a real-world total, an observed total of more than 10 inches of rain, about 10.3 inches of rain south of Gonzales. So it's no wonder that we had some flooding issues. What has happened with unfortunately, that situation that's ongoing near St. Hedwig is just very, very unfortunate. But we had some torrential rain late last night, early this morning. That is leaving us with some river flooding issues. So even as the afternoon goes on and we start to see some sun, we're going to have some of our area rivers, creeks, and streams continue to rise as the floodwaters from northwest move southeast and try to eventually drain into the Gulf of Mexico. So especially for areas east of San Antonio in Bexar County, if you live on one of our major rivers, near one of our major rivers, near a creek or a stream, those are expected to swell this afternoon before receding tonight. So do just keep that in mind. That will be the issue heading into the rest of the day. As far as rain goes, it is out of the area, and we'll actually see our skies try to clear out this afternoon. Any sunshine we can get will help to put our air temperatures in the 80s. It is going to stay muggy all day long. Humidity is high. My hair is evidence of this. So it is going to end up being a warm and muggy Thursday. But more changes arrive Friday. These are some really good welcome changes, though. A front that we've been talking about all week will move through during the day on Friday. There will be a low chance of rain with this front, but really the biggest thing that you'll notice is a quick increase in wind speeds and a nice drop in humidity by Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening. It'll even get a little chilly by Friday night, not Thursday, by Friday night. So for football games tomorrow night, RJ, it is going to be jacket, sweater weather for sure. We've been waiting for this. But a quick look at your wind gusts starting tomorrow afternoon. They're going to start to gust up toward 30, 35 miles per hour, maybe even some wind gusts near 40 miles per hour Friday night. So if you're like me and you've got some of those inflatable Halloween lawn ornaments outside, you're going to want to deflate those, bring them in, because they could kind of go flying as we get into Friday night. Check out your weekend forecast. This is a thing of beauty here by the time we get to Saturday and Sunday. Low humidity and air temperatures, high temperatures will only be in the 70s. So this is great. This is some real fall-like weather. And just keep in mind today, be careful, especially if you live east of San Antonio, with those river and creek flooding issues that we'll likely see into the afternoon, guys.
Yeah, and that's a great point that you bring up, Katie, right there with that graphic with those creeks on how all that water kind of runs into those areas, and those are places where you absolutely have to turn around and don't drown. And I think we have video of that from overnight that Justin Horn had for us.
Yeah, so you might have first seen this video earlier this morning. Justin Horn was out there with photojournalist Alicia Barrera. They were in the storm chaser last night. This was at Old Grissom Road where Culebra Creek crosses. Everyone thankfully was okay. So this is the video here.
Yeah, and again, Justin's out there storm chasing all night with AZN, and again, you could see that in that video that we just have right there that there was a car that was submerged underwater there. Now, fortunately, in that situation, everyone seemed to be okay, and Justin even spoke to someone out there who was trying to help out those people that were in vehicles. This individual said that he even tries to put up blockades himself sometimes and barricades, but that people just generally just drive around those blockades that he puts up.
Yeah, I think it can be a little deceiving, but obviously we've reported it. We've heard from authorities firsthand. If you see these barricades, listen, do not go through. I mean, just look at the rush of that water. It's just so dangerous. And unfortunately, well, in this case, everyone is okay. But again, referring back to that ongoing situation over in Far East Bexar County near St. Hedwig involving the woman and the 5-year-old, it's just tough.
Yeah,
so
and again,
give yourself extra time today.
Right.
Don't just think because it's not raining anymore that we're okay. There is still a risk out there.
Right, and that's again what Sheriff Salazar wanted to reiterate this morning during his press conference. And if you are on our website, KSAT.com, we also have the very latest information. We're hearing that the 5-year-old was an elementary student in the East Central Independent School District. So again, more details are going to come out as we continue to move along the day, and we'll see how those recovery efforts go.
All right, switching gears here overseas to a chaotic scene in Norway where a man armed with a bow and arrow killed 5 people and wounded 2 others earlier this morning in a series of attacks that in a Norwegian town.
Yeah, that's right. One of the people who was injured was an off-duty police officer. The suspect is in custody and has been charged. He's a 37-year-old man, and authorities say that they are treating this as an apparent act of terrorism. Investigators were still trying to determine what motivated the attack to be carried out and this rampage, and he apparently just was shooting at strangers in a busy area there in Norway.
Sad to see. And we know here in San Antonio, next story is San Antonio is home to a big Catholic as well as a military community. And this story, it's making headlines today. The Archbishop of the U.S. military is arguing that Catholic troops should not be forced to receive the coronavirus vaccine if it would, quote, violate the sanctity of their conscience.
That's right. The Archbishop Timothy Berlillo said in a statement Tuesday that although the Catholic Church's highest authority has determined that being vaccinated is not sinful, U.S. troops can still refuse vaccination on religious grounds. So the military's vaccine mandate does allow for religious exemptions, but each branch has its own regulations on how to obtain one.
So currently hundreds of thousands of U.S. service members remain unvaccinated or only partially vaccinated despite that mandate. But we know time is running out for the service personnel to get the vaccine. For airmen, the deadline is October 19th, so just 5 days away. The Navy and Marine, their deadline for active duty troops is now November 28th. And the Army, they still have a little bit more time. Their deadline for the vaccine is December 15th.
Yeah, so obviously we see these vaccine mandates being basically all around the country. This is a huge topic of discussion from every level, including the military. Military City USA here, so I'm sure a lot of people there are going to be paying attention to that.
Well, staying at home, a popular gift shop is once again the talk of the town. We're talking about Feliz Modern. It has 2 locations. It's Texas-based business, and Yelp has selected it for one of their popular lists.
Yeah, this is the top 10 list of Latin-owned places to watch in home and decor. The shop is founded by co-owners Mario and Ginger Diaz. They have 2 locations, as Alicia just mentioned. And if you've ever been, you know that it can be colorful. There's a lot of local and global art there, unique gifts, even home decor, all with a San Antonio flavor.
Yeah, I feel like it's like when Target, when you go in for one thing, but you walk out with like 10. Right. That is the experience at Feliz. And they were selected based on a national presence, average rating, and review counts, in addition to using human, of course, curation to identify trend-setting businesses here at home.
Yeah, and of course, I've seen some pretty interesting stuff from there, like these concha earrings and things like that. I know you've shopped there a few times, maybe?
A few times. Ginger really does a great job of curating and providing a space for local artists to be able to sell their things. So I love buying prints. We did a story on Ese es Amor, so that beautiful papel picado inspired print. Donations, or those proceeds, went back to nonprofits here to help students during the time of COVID. So really, it's just a very neat spot to buy local.
Very cool to see a local business like that being honored. And speaking of local businesses doing big things, San Antonio's very own Weathered Souls Brewing Company has made its mark around the world when it comes to breweries. Their Black is Beautiful campaign was started by co-owner and head brewer Marquez Baskerville. That beer campaign raised awareness for injustices of people of color and also raised money for social causes and reform.
Yeah, well, now Marcus and Weathered Souls are taking that idea to the next level. He joins us now live. Good morning, Marcus. Thanks for being with us. Can he hear us there? Can we hear them? Maybe he's muted.
I was on mute.
There we go.
Good morning.
He's on mute. I know, everyone's still using Zoom, but you gotta be careful with the mute button, right, Marcus?
Hey, Marcus, good morning. Well, we want to first start out by asking you about this new business venture and the incubator program.
Yeah, definitely. So San Antonio has been wonderful in the way that they've supported us over the last 4 years and 10 months. And so we've had the opportunity to open a new location, and we decided to open in Charlotte, North Carolina, where we'll be opening in the spring, early summertime. But with the new location, what we're going to actually be doing is starting a brand new incubation program called the Harriet Baskerville Incubation Program. And what it is we're going to be allowing minorities, people of color, women who are in the process of already opening a brewery, that have breweries in planning that typically contract brew. Where that gap lies is typically these individuals don't have the financial means to run brick and mortars, they don't have the relationships built or the resources to be able to open locations. So what we're going to do is kind of bridge that gap, allow them to come brew on our equipment, work on common CIP practices, brew house procedures. We've partnered with a couple of yeast companies, grain companies, even going into hops, so we can create an educational aspect of it. And by the end of it, what they'll be able to do is have almost an advantage in the industry, which typically isn't given to minorities and people like myself, to be able to kind of progress when they actually physically get out there and ready to open. So we're really excited to kind of see how this program develops over the course of the next few years. We'll be bringing in other world-renowned brewers to come teach classes. We'll be running symposiums, and the goal is to hopefully turn this into an academy within the next few years.
Hey, Marcus, quick question. So this is more of like a mentorship program, it feels like. Is this something you wish you had when you started out, or what kind of inspired you to do this?
Definitely, and that's part of what got me to go ahead and do this. Actually, I was on a Peloton ride, riding to Tunde, and she gave the quote basically that sometimes your passion isn't always your purpose, and sometimes your purpose isn't always your passion. And that made me think. It resonated with me, and so we had this opportunity with this new equipment that I'm not going to be brewing there all the time. And so I thought it would be the perfect fit to be able to have this incubation program to kind of start that educational processes for people like myself, because no, I did not have those options when I first got into the beer scene.
So I remember the first time that I went out to Weathered Souls and I went into the lab, as Marcus mentioned, he liked to call himself a little bit of a mad scientist in there with all the different flavors and tastes and things like that. So obviously, if people are listening to this or see this later on KSAT.com, definitely take advantage of this incubation program. Marcus is doing some big things, but we have a few questions, Marcus, for you from a KSAT viewer. And this is from Ricardo Moreno, and he's asking about breweries locally expanding to the south side and more in the downtown area. Now, we've seen Black Laboratory, they've expanded out to the east side, but are you seeing a little bit more of that, breweries kind of going to these different areas across San Antonio?
Definitely. I know there's going to be another local brewery that is moving locations to that area soon. I can't give up their name, but Yeah, I mean, definitely you see places within San Antonio, especially breweries trying to expand to those areas, especially as they become a little more popular and gentrified. For us ourselves, we're even trying to work with the city locally and open a pop-up location downtown to where we'll be able to be in a brand new location that typically those individuals don't get access to our beers or, don't make it to the brewery that often since we're so far. And so since that's such prime real estate within these days, it definitely makes sense that a lot of these breweries are starting to open in those locations.
Marcus, and we know that talking about inspiration, we know of two things that inspire you: helping others and, of course, social justice movements. But what else inspires you to try something different when it comes to brewing?
I think for me, it's the whole artistic, creative aspect of it. I mean, at the end of the day, you look at some of the brewers and some of the concoctions that we come up with, and it's almost a sense of art. And so for me, it's more so of, I guess, just trying to outdo the last thing that I typically did or the last beer that I came out with, and seeing how we could kind of progress from there. My goal as a brewer is to always one up myself with everything that we do. And so it's just more so about doing something fun out of pocket or something that people wouldn't normally expect to see from the brewery.
Well, Marcus, thank you so much for joining us this morning and letting us learn more about this incubation process and just your process in general. I'm sure we can all learn from that. Marcus, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the time, Marcus. Really appreciate it, and can't wait to go back out there to Weathered Souls. Got some always interesting things going on out there.
Come pay us a visit soon.
For sure, man.
All right, RJ, I want to take you to this trend.
Okay.
It's a Twitter trend. Have you heard of the red flag emoji?
Okay, so I just saw this pop up yesterday. I was scrolling through Twitter just trying to get some updates on the Spurs because they had a scrimmage yesterday, and I saw some very interesting things. Apparently, this is called a red flag emoji trend, and this is supposed to be, for people
as if we needed another trend, first of all. But all right.
But so this is supposed to be for people that I guess are like in the dating scene, and it's if you put like a red flag, a description, then red flag, this could be an indication of a sign of doom for that person that maybe you're trying to pursue a relationship with.
Okay, so for example, I don't want Spurs season game tickets. That's a red flag.
That's a red flag.
If they don't do the red flag trend, that's a red flag. Oh, that's a green flag.
That's a green flag,
okay.
yeah.
And what is this one?
Oh, I think this is one that says
this is me. This is what I feel like.
Whoever started the red flag trend, look at what you did. And it's a very angry SpongeBob SquarePants right there. I think there was one also that said, like, when people say Austin has better tacos than San Antonio, that's a red flag. Oh, here we have, the Spurs.
Oh, the Spurs. The Spurs even, of course, they're always on trend. I don't like breakfast tacos. Red flags all the way. I would agree with that one, whether you're dating someone or not.
There you go. There's one for the ladies.
Look.
This is from Robbie. He says, when she puts tortillas in the microwave, that's a red flag.
Okay, so I don't want Spurs season tickets. They say that's a red flag. I don't know if I would agree with that. There was one that I was kind of offended to, even though I'm not part of the red flag emoji. Red flag emoji trend was if they flip the tortilla with a fork. I'm not trying to burn.
That's a red flag.
I'm not my grandma. I am not my mother. You're
not gonna burn your hands.
We need to figure out one for the news. For the news scenes when they don't call you back.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So wanted to just real quick kind of scroll through Facebook Live again. Really appreciate everyone that's been on our Facebook Live, and of course a lot of people right now commenting on this situation going on there in St. Hedwig, where there are two people that authorities are searching for, and one includes a 5-year-old girl and an older woman. Yeah, so on that story, we brought it to you to the top. Katrina Weber will have a live report from the scene coming up on the news at noon, and really this is just, Sheriff Salazar called it a heartbreak story. It was a rescue mission, now it's a recovery effort. We know 3 vehicles were swept away by these flood waters in that area. They have located the vehicle where they do believe that 5-year-old girl and a woman were in, but right now those waters too high for them to get to the victims. Yeah, and again, this is near the intersection of North Greytown Road and FM 1518 near FM 1346. You know, you always think of those sort of roads out there, kind of the country roads, and they always kind of get flooded like this. So just be careful as we get more wet weather. We'll have more news today at the news at noon. Y'all have a good day. Be safe. Give yourself extra time. We'll see you here on KNN on Tuesday.